Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Fast Break on Ice Sports Radio, I want to talk to y'all about a couple of our sponsors. But first, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The Warriors went on a bye week this week and are 3-3 heading to the final 4 weeks of the season. Hopefully the boys pull through strong. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film out there for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you may be waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media at SoCal Warriors on Twitter, on Instagram, Southern California _Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking to background check on a new hire? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994. And he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for any use of crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can find them on social media at the website at bcint.com. Also, you can check on the Facebook, Background Check International. Now on to the show. We are back tonight with another preview tonight. The NBA Central Division is up next with the reigning defending NBA champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. Can they repeat again this upcoming season? Plus, Chicago made a lot of moves. We had if it was the right moves for them to take to make the playoffs, or it won't be enough. Pacers, new old coach and Rick Carlisle. TJ Warren's back healthy. Can they get back on the right track and kind of surprise folks in the East? Cleveland, Detroit, very young rosters. Can they make some strides with their rookie picks? We'll discuss that more on Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for that is All Sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of things to talk about. Lots of things to discuss here. We're going to try and make this quick because I know D-Lock is going to try and get to that Tampa Bay game and be full focus on that. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just actually did a face-off. Pretty sure some of you guys were listening. I did a face-off with the Bucks and Patriots. So I just did it just about 30 minutes ago. So it's a busy night. The Bucks and the Patriots playing. About to kick off in like 10 to 15, 20 minutes. But hey, the Lakers and the Nets had started the preseason also. I definitely was tuned into that night as well.
Man, I was just disgusted at the TV, just watching the Titans play. I was just like, I mean, I saw the Lakers play, but it's just like, But we'll just move past that. This is a basketball show, and we'll just keep it foot forward. But thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, a lot to talk about tonight. We're not getting out these previews just a note. Next week, going to be the Atlantic Division. So, get in mind that who you think is going to come out on top of that division. That's the week after that, before the season kicks off. The Pacific Division. So, those two divisions are up next. A lot to talk about in those two divisions, so we kind of put them last there, to kind of get y'all hyped up for the season. But today's the Central Division, where the defending, reigning NBA champion, the Bucks, reside. D-Lock. When we did our predictions last year, did you envision the Bucks winning it all this past season, or getting close to it?
I would say, being the fact that they had Jonas, I was expecting them to be one of the better teams in the East. I believe at this point we knew that KD and Kyrie were going to be with the Nets, so I was already expecting them to. I thought that combination would just. I thought those two were going to just, put away Milwaukee. And we're talking about, prior to the season starting, us just doing our previews. So James Harden wasn't even there yet. Mm-hmm. So this is before James Harden had even came. I had already in my mind, damn, okay, the Nets look like they finna clean up the East. Now I really like the Wizards, but clearly we see what the hell happened with that. But I was expecting the Nets. I wasn't expecting the Bucks to make this move. And then, hell, they go get James Harden, during the season. And now, even after previews, it's even more of, oh, hell no, they don't have – Milwaukee has no chance with those three. That was what I was thinking. So I honestly, I was not thinking that Milwaukee would get the title. What about you?
I think, they were on a. I think Budenholzer was on the clock to make a good run with this team. That I envisioned them making to going to the NBA Finals and winning it. I really didn't, to be honest with you, because you look in the landscape. This in the East, you look at the landscape of the East. Like you mentioned, this is before the Nets, made a move for James Harden. This is before, things unraveled in Philadelphia. And my, oh my, what a year has changed out that way. Then, look at Boston. We're kind of running, they made a run at Eastern Conference Finals. Can they potentially take that next leap with Brad Stevens at the helm and all that? We thought about the Heat. They made a good run. Surprised a lot of folks. Now, granted, Giannis got hurt in the bubble and stuff like that. Kind of helped with that, but still, the Heat made it. But, we talked about this a little bit after the season, and, and of course, during our finals talk, getting Drew Holiday was major. And I think we talked before the season. Yeah, giving up about 3 first-round picks for him was kind of excessive. But those 3 first-round picks, turned it into a championship. So, I mean, yeah, maybe a little excessive, but hell, you got a ring out of it. You can't complain about that.
Nah, you definitely gonna complain about getting a ring.
And, the way he played in that finals, I forgot what game was it. He had that great steal, in that game. What game was it? I can't remember right now, but I kind of know what I'm talking about right now. And him making that awesome play And then you got Giannis finally, taking over, which, was kind of scary in a little bit because he got injured in the Atlanta Hawks series. And you don't know what was going to happen. And you fought, if you're the Bucks, you're Mike Budenholzer. After reports saying if you don't make the finals, you're gone for the job. You kind of like crapping your pants saying like, damn, deja vu once again. But Giannis showed the true superstar that he is. He bounced back. He came back strong. He said, I'm not sitting out the NBA Finals. And that team won 4-2 against the Phoenix Suns. And now we're having talk and we talked about this months ago, is Giannis possibly the best player in the league? It's a great debate. Because I really can't think.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because, Giannis is like he's done so much for this team. He can just shoot just a little bit. Remember, that's the argument that we've had. If he can just shoot just slightly a little bit better. But to be honest with you, Giannis reminds me of a big man that's just very athletic. Like, you surround him with some shooters, he's gonna get you the boards, he's gonna get you the blocks, he's gonna be a very good defensive player. Like, it might be a reach, and just tell me what you think, but it kind of reminds me of how you would build your team around Shaq, like Shaq in his younger days, because Shaq is gonna get you every board. Anytime Shaq goes to the line, or anytime he's going to the rim, he's getting a foul. He's getting fouled. So he's forcing your big man, your best player, out of the game. The same thing with Giannis. So it's an argument that he could be one of the better players, if the best player in the game. I definitely would build around him.
Yeah, I will too. And someone who's kind of like similar in play, but I think he's got better handles and passing. And I want to shout out to the chat real quick. Shout out to Taryn Rodriguez. Welcome tonight, sir. Taryn been doing a great job in volleyball, covering high school football and California basketball and football. If you're a young guy out there, hey, get connected with him. He'll give you good some publicity in volleyball as well, especially in volleyball. And then shout out to Justin Lar in the chat. Thank you for tuning in with us. You see a 7-foot guy that is very determined. You see a 7-foot guy, saying, I'm going to drive to the lane. If you're going to say, hey, if you're going to stop me, get in front of me. And I think that's, I like about Giannis. He's using his size like you're supposed to. Like, the saying, D-Lock, you probably heard the saying in basketball circles and stuff like that. You heard the saying, you big for no reason.
Yep.
And you see talented big men, like, don't use their size or gifted abilities like they're supposed to. But Giannis, on the other hand, he's using his size and abilities to the maximum, to the maximum for his team, and plus his hard work and dedication on top of that has really put him in the upper echelon of top players in the league. Has put him Finals MVP. Has put him making millions of dollars. Has put him, possibly down a future Hall of Famer. Plus a finals ring to show for it. That's where we're at right now with him. Because you think about this from the Bucks, and you look at the landscape in this division. Before we get to our picks and stuff like that, Chicago, they made some nice moves, but where are they going? who's the young guy to kind of counter Jonas down the line? They don't got it. Indiana. I like Sabonis, but he ain't the guy to carry you to the mountaintop. I like TJ Warren too, but something telling me he ain't going to be there in the long run. And plus LeVert, I love LeVert, but it seems like a health issue comes up with him every season. Cleveland. I don't know what the hell they doing. I really don't.
Me either. I was thinking the same thing.
I really don't. They made some head-scratching moves. Cleveland fans kind of want to argue with us on Twitter, about Larry marketing. Yeah, we need scoring. We need scoring. Yeah, it was a good move to get Larry marketing. If y'all stomping the Cade for Larry marketing like that, but y'all having it rough right now. Y'all having it rough. And in Detroit, they were in rebuild mode. I like Cade Cunningham. I like Killian Hayes, a big guard. So, it's just time with them. And if those two guys can develop like they're supposed to, maybe they get Milwaukee a run down the line. But, time will tell on that. But I just lay out this vision right there. A couple of middle road teams and 2 teams rebuilding. They ain't gonna stop the Bucks. They're not. And Justin, making a good couple points. Pacers just need to get healthy, period, which is true. With some of the guys, the three guys I mentioned, really. And then, what you think about this, D-Lock? He also says the Pacers should go after Ben Simmons. What do you think? We know Ben Simmons has been connected to a couple teams in the division. Cleveland. What are you talking about Ben Simmons, Indianapolis?
It's not a bad idea. I mean, honestly, I still feel like people hold on to what Ben Simmons did in the playoffs as saying that means he's just this terrible player. But I think he's still one of the better players in the league. So I think he would fit very well in Indy. I think they're actually known pretty much for the defense. Now, the only problem is who are they giving up for him? Are you going to get off of Karis LeVert? You're damn sure ain't giving up Sabonis. Brogdon, a couple guys like Jeremy Lamb is there, and it has to be a trade that they're willing to take. So don't forget you still got TJ Warner as well. So it wouldn't be bad. It's just who are you giving up, and then he's not going to be your wherever Ben Simmons goes, it's clear he's not going to be the offensive scorer. He's going to be more so of that he's going to be more of a help on the defensive side. And I'm thinking a defensive side, assist man, and board guy. So for me, if the Pacers were to go grab him, you're probably going to need to keep a Karis LeVert. You're going to need to keep, a Sabonis. You're probably, maybe you give up a Miles Turner. But I like the idea because of what Ben Simmons can bring to a team, especially if you don't run him as your point guard.
Justin is saying in the chat that he was saying Brogdon and Lamb and a pick or two. But I'll say this, and you mentioned those 2 names, D-Lock. I'll send Brogdon and LeVert. Now, granted, you need some scoring to win, but with those 2 guys' health status, because sometimes the dependability is kind of sketchy with them. Throwing a couple picks, you could have Ben Simmons. Would you make that move? Or you go with Justin, it's like, hey, Brogdon and Lamb and about a couple picks.
I'm probably I'm probably giving up Brogdon because my thing is, like, I feel like, for one, it's one person on their team that I really, really like. Man, that's TJ McConnell. Like, I feel like him off the bench is a hell of a player. Like, that's just how I feel about TJ. Like, especially on FanDuel, this dude, like, he come off the bench and have one of them starting point guard numbers. So, getting off of Malcolm Brogdon isn't a bad idea. But also with that, if it, like, to do that, I would just move Karis LeVert to the guard position and run the offense through him. Like, he would be your main scorer. They have those pieces, but again, like, if you're Philly, what are you taking for that? And I feel like, even to this day, I feel like wherever Ben Simmons goes, there's going to be a 3-team trade. I don't see it being a straight up trade for Philly. It's going to be a 3-team trade. So, I feel like there's no team that has enough or would just accept, a Ben Simmons. They're going to have to move some pieces to build, to play Ben Simmons how I'm envisioning they would. So that means maybe moving somebody. Like, if Indy was to make that trade, you're not going to, Philly ain't taking Miles Turner. Yeah, they're going to do a Miles Turner. Like, if you had to get off, like, I feel like Miles Turner would be part of that trade going to another team possibly. So, but again, like, Ben Simmons, if I'm Indy, I get off Malcolm Brogdon and give up maybe a Justin Holiday. I don't know about TJ Warren. That'd be a tough person to move. But, a couple of those pieces I wouldn't mind, especially for, like, somebody who's going to bring a defensive presence like a Ben Simmons.
Yeah. Justin saying in the chat, he'll keep LeVert, kind of like you said, LeVert's like the shot getter. And that's a good point. We'll put a cap on this before we get to our picks. A team like Indiana, like, kind of stay in the middle. You gotta do something. Because even in all professional sports, if you contending for a championship, or at least like a tiny step below that, or you're tanking to find that next guy. And for Indiana, you're kind of just in the middle right now. In our humble eyes. In my humble eyes. You're just in the middle. I mean, TJ Warren, yeah, he can score, but I think on a really good team, he's like your third or fourth option. Same thing with LeVert, about third or fourth option. If you stick those two guys with the Anthony Davis, LeBron, perfect. If you stick those two guys with the Luka, well, it depends how you the Porzingis, perfect. So if they make a run at Ben Simmons, and they're rumored to do that along with the Cavs, I think it'd be great. Will Ben Simmons like it? Probably not. It's Indianapolis. I have family in Indianapolis, and that's going to be his top of scene. Now, granted, yeah, he can go up to Chicago, but that's really about it. So we'll see. If they do make that move, if Carlisle, and that's the main thing with Rick Carlisle, since he may have a little bit more control here in Indianapolis or Indiana, will he go for that and have Ben Simmons in the fold? Will he tolerate his timidness to score at times or in key situations? That's another thing you got to consider as well. But D-Lock, do you want to go first, or you want me to go on these preview picks?
I can start it off.
All right.
already see someone did a little bit of looking about my order. But now I may make a couple sounds about what's going on in this game, so y'all be aware of that.
You're good. You're good.
So I want to start off with looking at our five. To be honest, it was only tough to start off at the bottom just because of these teams that just don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm gonna go with the Cavs at the bottom.
Okay.
Having Jared Allen was a great move. We see what he did, later on in the season. You still got Kevin Love on the books, I believe. Or did they let him go yet?
They got him on the books still, but I don't know what they're gonna do with him.
Yeah. Okay, dude, try. So they right now, because what I'm trying to say is they have him, they have marketing, and then you went and drafted Evan Mobley. So, for me, you went and drafted Evan Mobley, you traded for Ricky Rubio, you got Colin Sexton. Like we said earlier, we both don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, you have some pieces on here, but it's like what is your plan? So, right now, I feel like the Cavs are just lost right now. Like, they don't know exactly how they want to approach it. I'm not even sure how long they're going to keep Tryon there, to be honest with you. Like, I'm sorry, not Tryon, Jared Allen there. Like, this is getting Mobley. Then they signed Taco Fall, too?
Yeah,
so,
it was just a training camp deal, though.
Yeah, okay. So, Darius Garland, I think is a stud. The guy from Florida State, I can't even say. I'm trying to say his last name, Kimogele. That's another guy that they have. You got Lauren Market in there. Like, I can see they having a lot of bigs, but the fact is, this team just doesn't look like they don't know what they're doing with this franchise just yet. So I'm gonna start off with them at 5, just because they look a little lost. Now, close 4 is the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham is a beast. Like, we know what Cade Cunningham is. I think that was a hell of a pick. This team, I like what they have. The only reason why I don't really have them a lot higher is because they're so young, right? You got Sadiq Bey. You got traded for Diallo. Jerami Grant was a hell of a pickup. Killian Hayes looked like he was coming to his own. Josh Jackson. They got all these guys. They went and got Trey Lyles. They got all these guys that can play a huge piece. And it's just that they're young right now. Mm-hmm. So I think over time they're going to gel. I just think that not yet. Like, I don't see it right at the moment. Going to get Kelly O, they paid him a lot of money too. Going to get Kelly O was kind of questionable. And I also think that letting Plumlee go, they're going to let Isaiah Stewart, come to his own because he had a hell of a season as well. It's just that, the average age of this team is about 23. Outside of Corey Joseph, who's 30, Kelly O, who's 30. Like, everybody else on this team is under, and Jerami Grant, who's 27. Everybody else is about under 25, 24. So, for me, it's just that this team is very young. I think that Sadiq Bey is going to take that huge step this year. And I think that's going to help them big time. They went and, drafted Cade Cunningham, so he's going to play a huge piece. I wonder what that's going to do with Killian Hayes' role. I think Killian Hayes' role, is going to decrease. Frank Jackson is going to be a huge piece, but also, Josh Jackson can move up to the 1 guard as well. So I got them at 4 just because of specifically the fact that they're young. I don't see them just making a huge jump just yet. We're still doing this for a couple of years, and we had this conversation. I don't see them being that far down in this division. 3, I have the Indiana Pacers. Miles Turner is so inconsistent to me. Like, he's a great defender, but You know, it like he's not doesn't really do too much on the offensive side. Justin Holiday comes and goes. Now clearly they did try to make a trade for Ben Simmons. I see this team being a lot better. But Karis LeVert is the guy. I think he's going to be the guy that leads his team. Also, between him and Sabonis is going to be a tough way between those two. But I just feel like that this team is, I can't say they're one piece away. They're just in a division where the Bulls got better and Milwaukee is just Milwaukee. Like, Malcolm Brogdon is a hell of a player. Another person that did show up a little bit later on in the season is O'Shea Brissett. Like, when he got the chance to actually play, like, you've seen him blossom. So, for me, I think that this team is going to be pretty good. I want to see more of Justin Holiday as well. It seems like you don't see him and Jeremy Lamb. Like, it's like Jeremy Lamb cannot stay healthy. So if you can get him to stay healthy, you got a pretty amount of guards there. And the person, like I said, is a real sneaky player. If he gets the minutes, he will literally be up for Sixth Man of the Year. That's T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell is one underrated player that not many people talk about. Like, he plays pretty good, but it's just that he's in that room with a Brogdon, with a Justin Holiday who comes down, with a Jeremy Lamb. So it's kind of tough to get him those minutes. So I got them at 3. But I definitely expect, like, I think they are, much better, shoulders above Detroit and Cleveland. And 2, this is where it got kind of rocky, but it started to change. I got the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
They made some. To me, I think they had the best offseason.
Really?
Like, between them, the Lakers, the Nets, who am I missing? And the Heat. I'm thinking that the Lakers, like, when you go get, I know we're talking about DeMar DeRozan at 32, but DeMar DeRozan still can ball. Going to get DeMar DeRozan, if Lonzo can be consistent, but that's the question that we've asked since he left LA. Like, going to get some more defenders, going to get a Caruso. Clearly, they're trying to get much better on the defensive side. Going to get a Derrick Jones. They got Vooch mid-season. That's a lot of really, really good moves for me. Now, the question mark to this, and I'm pretty sure you'll touch on it too, is what the hell they do with Kobe White.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had a guy that, was it 2 years ago, he was coming off the bench and he was looking like he was just a star coming to his own. And, like, all of a sudden, it's like it was just a complete drop-off last year. So, I'm hoping to not hear the same thing this year, but fact is they brought in 2 guards, and Caruso and Lonzo, so somebody's going to play and somebody's not, with Kobe White there. So, to me, I like this team. Patrick Williams played extremely well down the stretch. I think they're going to get the chance to actually have an offseason with Vooch, so we're going to see a better Vooch. What he did when he was in Orlando. But, I really feel like this roster is pretty good. If they can gel, I really think they can get pretty deep in the playoffs. Especially in the East. We're not talking about the West where, you are basically damn near full, got great teams all the way through 1 to 8. That's not the case with the East. You're going to see a couple teams make the playoffs that are below 500. So, but for me, I really like this roster. They went and got Tony Bradley, so they got a couple rotation guys. Also got Trey Brown. So I really do like this roster. I like them to kind of be. Now I think between them and Milwaukee, I think those 2 teams drop off from Indiana, Detroit, and Cleveland. So for me, I do like what the Bulls can do. kind of tough to see what they're gonna do with the Lees and Stanley Johnson, and see how they're gonna fit them in. But this roster is pretty deep. You know what Zach LaVine can do. I mean, he just blew up ever since he won a slam dunk contest. So, and obviously at the top, I got Milwaukee. Now, losing PJ Tucker did hurt. But grabbing a couple guys like Rodney Hood, even though it's not a big name, but going to get a Grayson Allen, it's like they're just trying to keep. They brought back the Bobby Porters. They're trying to keep the good guys around Jonas, because he's the guy that gets them started. So, for me, as long as Jonas is there with Chris Middleton, the reigning defending champs, they're going to be a problem. They lost Dante DiMarchisa during the playoffs, right? During the season.
During the playoffs.
So he's going to come back and play a huge role. So I think that, if Giannis can just be Giannis as he's been, he got one of the better three-pointers in the game with Chris Middleton. And Bobby Portis is going to bring that energy. And I think right now, we got to pick. So, so I like Milwaukee. Now, the biggest thing is, actually, it was a fumble. It's close, though. I think that it'll go. Milwaukee is going to be one of the problem teams, of course. But I do think now you're going to deal with a full season of the Brooklyn Nets with who they have. And I messaged you, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I was like, Brooklyn just had a hell of a – this is one of the best rosters I've seen ever. Like the Nets, from top to bottom. So they're going to cause a problem. But, back to the topic. I got Milwaukee number 1, Chicago number 2, Indiana 3, Detroit Pistons 4, and then Cleveland at 5. And I actually like 2 teams to go to the playoffs in this division.
Alrighty. Well, let me start off. I'll make these quick. And if y'all in the chat, give y'all predictions as well. 5-1, 5 being the lowest, 1 being the top. Give us y'all predictions in the chat. But for me, I go to Detroit number 5. The only reason I put that because they're a young roster. They're young right now. I look at them. I got a starting lineup of Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham in my backcourt. Throw them out there. They both can handle the ball. They're both combo guards in a sense. Kind of use that to your advantage. And they both, above 6'5", so use that to your advantage if you're Dwayne Casey. And then, that 3 spot, it was kind of tough. I thought about Sadiq Bey, but I put Josh Jackson in this spot. Just, I guess, give balance in that starting lineup. Who Josh Jackson played pretty well for them. So, and you got him for cheap, for number $5 million for this year. And then at the 4 spot, Jeremiah Grant, who played for Team USA over the summer. So you got that experience with him come back, for Japan. And hopefully he can bring that to this team. And at center, I got Isaiah Stewart. Get him in some minutes. Let him work. He ain't going to be, ask for the ball and stuff like that. But a guy who could be a good cleaner for you down the line in this league. In my eyes. You mentioned about Kelly Olynyk. It's weird. Just 2 years ago, we slammed him for signing Miles Plumlee to that much money to be their starting center, but still, that's a lot of money for Miles Plumlee. And then, they traded him to Charlotte. Now you bring in Kelly Olynyk into the fold. I was like, you gave him a side contract away like you just did. All in the meanwhile, you got somebody on the roster who's kind of similar to Kelly Olynyk, but a lot cheaper, in Luke Garza from Iowa, who you drafted in the second round. I said, you drafted Luke Garza, who plays the same way of Kelly Olynyk. Could play a lot tougher inside than Kelly Olynyk. And he's a lot cheaper. And yes, I know some of y'all probably hear this saying, yes, I know you got to spend money to reach a certain floor in the salary cap and all that stuff. I know. But still, just look at the semantics of things. Garza, 6'10", 6'11". Olynyk, about same height. Do the same thing, shoot threes and stuff like that. Stretch the big man. What's the point of signing? So, and then you got Sadiq Bey off the bench. You know, you got Frank Jackson in the fold as well. Like I said, same thing about OKC. Pay your young dogs. See who rides to the cream of the top. And hopefully those guys, especially Killian Hayes, Cunningham, Stewart, and Bey, show more progress to have them lead you down the line in the future. So I got Detroit number 5. Number 4, Cleveland. I don't know what the hell's going on with Cleveland. I don't know what they doing. It seemed like you look at some of the draft picks here recently. Darius Garland's okay, but you wait for him to turn the corner. I love Colin Sexton, but he's gonna be, I guess, a role player in the league. Like, if you stick him on a good team, he's your 7th guy to come off the bench. Now, on the other side, I got him starting in Cleveland along with Garland. I got Okoro at the 3, Marketing and Allen down low. The only reason I got Sexton in the starting lineup because who else you gonna put there? I mean, there's Denzel Valentine they signed, who could maybe start, but I think they might try to see something out of Sexton and go from there. There are rumors of them maybe in the run for Ben Simmons as well. And I threw this out there on our Twitter account. If you're not following us on Twitter, please do it at FastBreak at IESR. But you got to find a way to get Kevin Love off the books. Trade him, Colin Sexton, and then, maybe somebody else. Trade him to Philly for Ben Simmons. If you feel like, you want to go for Ben Simmons, I don't know why, if he's not going to take you to the playoffs, but get those books, especially Kevin Love's money off the books, and go from there if you feeling like trading for Ben Simmons. I don't know what they're going to do. Like you mentioned, it's like a log jam down low. With Mobley, I think you got to put him at center, but you already got Jared Allen there. I prefer him putting at 4, but you sign Marketing, and he's going to start. And I think Mobley, even right now, I think he may be the better player overall than Marketing. So why not just start your young guy who you drafted in the top half of the draft, 3 overall, and just go from there. But like I said, Cleveland's a mess. I don't know which way they're going to go. I think one big win for them over the season, if they get Kevin Love off the books. If they get him off the books, Rubio come off the books as well after the season. If you get those 2 guys off the books, I think it'll go a long way, kind of get some daylight to do some things. But I got Cleveland number 4. Number 3, Indiana. I got a starting lineup of Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, Sabonis, and Turner. Like Justin mentioned in the chat, if everybody stays healthy, I think it'll go a long way for this team. Having TJ Warren back is a big plus. And you kind of wonder, if TJ Warren could have came back sooner from injury after, butting heads with the previous head coach. There's reports out there that he didn't come back because of the coach and the coaching situation there. Indiana was kind of toxic, and we kind of discussed on the show here and videos and stuff like that. Coaches getting shoving matches, all that stuff. It was a hot mess there in Indiana. But I think everybody's healthy. If Rodney at least can play 75 games in the season, it'll go a long way for this team. Same thing with LeVert. It'll go a long way for this team. But that's a big if right there. And I don't know this. Some of those guys I just mentioned can stay healthy for a whole season. And with some of the other teams in the East, you know, like a Brooklyn, New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, even the Bucks in their own division, that's 5 teams right there. And after that, you're kind of scrambling with the other teams right there. So it's going to be a lot of dogfight there too. But I got Indiana number 3. We'll see how things shake out for them. 2, Chicago. It seemed like Lonzo was destined to go to Chicago. There was like rumors of him getting traded there in the offseason. So I think they made it happen this past offseason. You look at the lineup for them. I got a lineup like this, D-Lock. I got Lonzo, LaVine, DeRozan at the 3, Patrick Williams at the stretch 4, and then Vucevic at the 5.
Yeah.
It's an interesting lineup, but and I hope Billy Dolphin can make it work. But I think if I was coach, I would make that lineup work. Now, granted, you're shooting, you sacrifice a lot of shooting, 3-point shooting and stuff like that. But just terms of switching ability between those 4 guys, you know, the defense you can play, the getting out and the fast break, especially Alonzo when his vision was Zach LaVine, you know, DeRozan even at his age, and then but you got a young Patrick Williams there. I think you can get up and down the court and all that stuff. And then you throw in with the Caruso and Kobe White in your second unit, that can go a long way. My only concern is kind of behind Vucevic. You know, what's going to happen there. But if they, you know, play solid, kind of come together, you know, and be a solid team, I think they'll go a long way for them making the playoffs. Because if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be tough because you got a lot of salary with some of these guys, and they're not really doing nothing for you. Yeah, LaVine can score all that stuff, but it really hadn't moved the needle. So maybe DeRozan and Lonzo can help. Maybe get Caruso will help as well. Kobe White, like you mentioned, we thought will help solve the problems at point guard for Chicago. That clearly may not be the case. And he may be kind of like a Colin Sexton, kind of like better suited to come off the bench here in the league. Who knows? Or maybe he needs to be in another situation. But Chicago is like in this weird place. I don't know where to put it. It's like they don't have a true superstar, but, you know, it's kind of tough to gauge where they're at right now. But I just got them at number 2 right now because I think, you know, I think they'll be a little more better health-wise come towards the end of the season, in my eyes. And of course, number 1, Milwaukee. No surprise there. The defending champs. Like you mentioned on PJ Tucker, it hurt. I mean, it does hurt to lose him. But, I mean, he's also like 35, 36 years old too. And, I mean, how much, I mean, it's great that he's playing well for his age, but how much you can depend on that. Which, we'll discuss here, with like our previews the next couple of weeks with the Lakers and Nets specifically. But how long can you depend on that toughness and stuff like that before Father Time kind of catches up? I do like the additions of Grayson Allen and Rodney Hood. I think we kind of saw in the playoffs when DiVincenzo went out, there wasn't much depth in that two-guard spot. Pat Connaughton played very well for them. After that, I mean, you could throw Brian Forbes out there. He had some good moments in the playoffs, but you not really should depend on Brian Forbes to carry you to the promised land. So getting Allen, getting Hood kind of helps with that. Getting back Bobby Portis on the cheap was a very big move. I think if he plays well enough again this season, I think he's going to cash in big with the, floated salary cap come next offseason. Or bloated salary cap. But Jonas, he's probably the best in the game. Middleton, he came out clutch, especially in the finals. When they needed big shots, he came out big for them. Holiday, they made a move, got rid of Eric Bledsoe. Kind of carried them to help them to promise, especially in the finals. He played very excellent. Guarding Chris Paul, guarding Devin Booker, played very well. And also, what we talked about, in the past about the finals, they kind of took DeAndre Ayton out the game at certain points in that series. Because you remember, DeAndre Ayton was playing great in that playoffs run up to the finals. He was playing great. He was very dominant down low. Get it when you want against the Lakers. Get it when you want it, offensively and defensively against the Nuggets. Get it when you want against the Clippers. Got to the Milwaukee series. They did a couple adjustments, and they really kind of took him out in the series in a sense. To the point that once they took him out the series, they kind of just that focused Devin Booker, and when he got kind of frustrated in that tail end of that series. So they did great. Budenholzer, coached for his life to win that championship. Do they repeat again? God, it's a tough call. It's really tough. And we'll talk about next week, with the Atlantic Division, the Nets. But it's tough. I got them going to the Eastern Conference Finals again, D-Lock.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hold my pick between the Nets and Bucks who make it to the NBA Finals. I'm going to wait till next week because I got to sleep on it because it's tough. Like you mentioned about the Nets. Harden back healthy. KD healthy. Played great in the summer. Kyrie. We'll see about him.
That man a wild card, man.
We'll dive into him more next week. But got those three there. Got Aldridge back in the fold. Blake Griffin's back. Joe Harris. Got to get more out of him. The guys that did draft pretty well. I'm going to withhold my pick till next week. Who makes the finals out of the East? I'll do that because it's kind of tough right now. Because I was like, yeah, Milwaukee can make it, and I want to say, the reason I'll say this before we close out here. One advantage I think Milwaukee does have is down low. While me and my dad, we talked about Giannis early in the beginning of the show. If I drive on you and drive on your neck, who's going to stop me? Fully healthy, engaged, going to the rack. Who's going to stop me? And that's going to be key. Who's going to stop me? It's going to be James Harden. It will be Kevin Durant. It will be Kyrie Irving. Bruce Brown. Joe Harris. Blake Griffin. Who? That's the thing that I think Milwaukee has. Who's going to stop Giannis when push comes to shove? But like I said, I'll make my pick next week. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, the Nets, like I said, they're gonna be pretty. They're gonna be pretty tough, I think. And like I messaged you, I'm looking at their roster and I'm like, oh my God, pick, yes sir. I'm thinking right now, getting James Johnson was a huge pick as well. Like they have a hell of a rotation. You remember that video I sent you? You asked me who 95 was, and that was Bembry. Like, this is who they got coming off the bench. Like, that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have a lot of pieces. What's the guy name they drafted from LSU again? I forgot his name. He cooked today off the bench.
Oh, Cameron Thomas.
Thomas. Yes. He had a hell of a game today. Even though it's preseason, I seen somebody say they got a steal. He had like over 20 points off the bench.
So it was a steal.
Yeah. So you got this person coming off the bench in the sense where, Kyrie, he can get a break or go through wherever the hell he's going through, or you need James Harden to get his little time away. Like now, they're scoring at will. So it's gonna cause a lot of problems for, a Milwaukee or Miami Heat, all these other teams. But the rotation that they have, Paul Millsap is over there.
Man, he cooked. I'm sorry. He cooked.
Yeah, I mean, he is, but it's just the fact that they have these rotational guys as options. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, Marcus Aldridge came back. Blake Griffin, like, they're not in their prime, but it's just the fact of rotational of, well, hey, all I need from you is X amount of minutes. I don't need you to be, you don't need the prime of Marcus Aldridge or the prime Blake Griffin, who we've seen a little bit during the playoffs. You don't need that on a consistent. Like, at this point, this team that they have is kind of put together for the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, them, and also, you can kind of, I would say something similar about the Lakers, but I still have to do, and we'll talk about that when we get to their division. But, and back on the West, but it just seems like this team is built for the playoffs. So the Nets are going to be very hard to beat. Again, I'm not sure how many people agree with me, but this is probably one of the best rosters I've ever seen from top to bottom. When I mean from top to bottom, I mean from Kevin Durant all the way to the last guy on this team. Like, they literally have a lot of guys on this team. And I'm not saying looking at them just in their prime, just what they can do just for what, Steve Nash and the coaching staff is asking them. Like, this is going to be a very, very hard team to beat for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll leave it on that note. We seem like we're on the same book. Like, Nets and Bucks should meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, barring any hiccups. But we'll probably dive in more deeper into the next week. But thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with another show. Thank you for tuning in with us. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can definitely find me at Black-813, Twitter and Instagram. I actually be tweeting about this game in a moment. We just got a pick, so I was a little excited about that. This game looks like it's going to be a low-scoring game, but you'll get more details about it by watching and also checking my Twitter out. So let them know where they can find you at, man.
You can follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, please do follow the page at Fastbreak at IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. You can check out all of our tweets and stuff like that regarding basketball from preps to pros. Also, I do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. You can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. I recently posted a new episode up previewing the Titans game against the damn Jets. And, why is it? It was a trap game. And lo and behold, it was a damn trap game today. But on the second half of the episode, if you're a wrestling fan, I talk about the Dark Side of the Ring on there. A couple episodes in there about the plane ride from hell. And Chris Kane, the life and death of him. So please do follow me on Facebook and Instagram, The Crooks Process. Also, please do follow IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Also, please visit IESportsRadio.com. Check out our past podcasts on here on the previews. Also, everything else on the network. Also, we just saw D-Lock on the Face Off show. So please do check out that. But we'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the chat for tuning in with us. And we'll check y'all next week. We're out.
Peace.